Continuing with my Damn the Man theme, I also finished Slewfoot by Bram recently, and here is my take on that. So, Slewfoot happens in a Puritan village way, way back at the beginning of this country's history. And we all remember what happened when the Puritans were here. We should have all heard about Salem and the witch trials by now. So put your mind back there. So the story is about Abatha, and she comes to this country and lives in a Puritan village, and she is betrothed to Edwin. Edwin has a brother named Wallace, and Edwin and Wallace kind of share the land, but Edwin and Wallace have an agreement that if they pay so much hay, then Edwin and Abatha will have this land free and clear, and no longer joint with Wallace. And Wallace is a know-it-all jerk. He is a typical Puritan man who thinks that women should be seen and not heard and must submit everything to men, and just an ass. They were whispering and threatening to throw Abatha in the stocks because she let a tendril of her hair come loose out of her bonnet. She didn't even know. Her hair has a mind of its own, and just that kind of ridiculousness. She was showing too much wrist, and she has to make sure that she doesn't hike up her skirt too much when she's trying to cross muddy streets, because she could end up in the stock. Anyway, because that's the kind of belief system this country was founded on. So anyway, she ends up meeting a recently brought back nature spirit. The nature spirits call him Father, but she nicknames him Samson because he resembles a goat. And at first she thinks he's the devil, but he somehow convinces her that he's not the devil. And they realize that they work really well together because Abatha is from the old country. And in the old country, her mother was a wise woman, a medicine woman who knew about which herbs to take and charms and all that good old-fashioned folk medicine and charms, like I just said. So, she has some of that old world magic in her, and he has really, really old native magic in him, or indigenous magic. So they decide that they're going to work together because Edwin ends up dying very quickly on accident at the beginning of the book, and now Wallace is threatening to take away the farm that is almost paid for. They only have like one more season worth of hay to pay off, and so Abatha does her best to convince the church members that as long as she can pay off that final payment, that she should be able to keep the farm, because that's what they've done for other widows, that just because the husband died, that doesn't mean that now all of a sudden the wife gets kicked out of her home that she might have lived with for ever. And so the church elders have to say, yep, we can't be hypocrites. We have, if we did this for one widow, we have to do it for this widow too, even though she's very young. Wallace doesn't like that and does everything he can to sabotage things because he has little PP energy. Abatha and Samson are working together to help make her farm great. And Samson doesn't help her that much. She does a lot of the work on her own. He does help get things started, but then like I said, when he was brought back, he didn't really remember a lot of himself. And then the forest or the nature spirits don't tell him everything. They keep a lot back too, because they want him to act and behave a certain way. They're tired of these Puritans and these people encroaching on their lands and cutting things down and building stuff and destroying things because they feel like it's taking away their own ability to communicate with Mother Earth, and that's taking away their power. So they're mad, and they want Father to just wipe out all the Puritans, get rid of them all. I don't know that they were necessarily wrong. It's just a story of how really, really, really crappy some people are, and how hard women have always had to fight for our voices to be heard. Even the spirit animals, or the nature spirits, they were doing their own agenda and not working with pure hearts. They might have wanted the right thing, but they weren't doing it purely. They had their own agendas that they were trying to control Father or Samson with. But it was a good book. But does it deserve the hype that it's gotten? I have a friend who is like, she can't watch anything scarier than Hocus Pocus, and I would tell her that she would be able to handle this book. So so it's a good read, but I wouldn't consider it a horror book. And if you go into this book expecting it to be a horror book, it's not. Maybe I would categorize this more as a Brothers Grimm type story, because Brothers Grimm was dark and not nice, but it was read to children. So maybe that's what I would consider this. It was a cautionary tale. I am very interested to know, now that it's starting to be creepy season, what other creepy books should be on my need to read. I need to know. Not necessarily horror, but creepy. Like, for example, How to Sell a Haunted House. That book was creepy. So I would love some more books along that line, and even getting into like kind of the folky theme that Slewfoot had. That would be, just a good old witch story would be a really good recommendation that I would love to hear about. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. So until next time, remember, you are enough, and there's a little bit of a witch in all of us. And go get lost in some pages. Thank you. Bye.